What's one of the dumbest things you ever spent your money on? Chef Boyardee's beefaroni. One summer, because I was bored, I brought some Chef Boyardee's beefaroni and put it in my friend's mailbox as a prank. He didn't find it, but his parents did, and they asked their neighbors who did it. He suspected me at first, but I managed to get him off my tail. Now, our neighborhoods were fairly close to each other, so I could be over there in a 15-minute walk. Every night I walked up to their neighborhood, walking anywhere at 2 a.m. It's creepy as heck, but the Boyardee bandit does not stop for demons. I put a can of beefaroni inside their mailbox. After about a month, they called the police to find out who's putting beefaroni in their mailbox. Luckily, the police really didn't care that much and just told them to get a camera, which they eventually did. Meanwhile, my friend is telling me all of this from his perspective. Right, so I usually know what they do before I strike. So, I started covering my face and pretend to hunch over. I have no idea where this camera is, so I can never be too careful. They called the cops again and gave him a profile. And now the cops are looking for a crippled beefaroni bandit. After a solid 3 months of this crap, one of the baggers at the store gets word somehow and starts getting suspicious because he sees me buying tons of beefaroni. He confronts me and I tell him the truth. And I crap you not, he starts helping me beefaroni my friend's house. We're putting it all over, hiding in the lawns, porch, fence, you name it. Halloween rolls around and I dress up as Chef Boyardee. I go to my friend's house and say, "Your daily subscription to Chef Boyardee's beefaroni has ended. Would you like to renew?" I hear laughter in the background and it's the store clerk. Turns out he recently started dating my best friend's sister, and that's how he heard. Truth be told, I don't think I've ever been punched harder than when my friend found out. Good times. We still laugh about it from time to time. When I was 14, I bought a pack of really expensive, intentionally mismatched socks. Like, only one of each pattern. I could have bought twice as many normal socks and just mismatched them myself. When I went on a school field trip to Washington, D.C. back in middle school, I bought a $2 bill at the souvenir shop for $20. I was drunk and bought Monsters ballads off an infomercial, and I paid an extra $20 for rush delivery because I was drunk and needed it ASAP, and it showed up a month later. I was just a few weeks out of basic training and brought one of those family lineage with the shields on it and description. I blew $500 or so bucks just to find out it wasn't even accurate. I bought a make-it-yourself music box with a series of cards to punch out the notes and then insert so you can play whatever tune you want. Thought I could make my girlfriend a special gift. Then I realized that I can't read music, and when I tried to punch it by ear, it sounded bloody awful. I spent $40, one of those amusement park booths where you had to throw darts at balloons. For some reason, I picked out this really ugly 7-foot tall frog stuffed animal. It's in the corner of my closet and still scares me when I'm half awake in the morning. I once went to a novelty shop that had tons of random crap. I ended up spending $10 on a framed picture of Count Dooku, Darth Sidious, and Jango Fett from Star Wars since my girlfriend thought it was funny. The frame recently broke and I found out after seeing the back of the picture it was from a calendar when Attack of the Clones came out. Someone just cut this piece out of an old calendar, put it in the frame, and my dumb butt brain voluntarily spent $10 on it. I've had a few drinks and wandered into a Williams Sonoma store in a state of euphoria. There I saw a special edition of KitchenAid starter mix made in bronze that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was on sale for $999. Naturally I bought it, but because I'm a simple guy who doesn't bake it, just taking up much counter space. A pocket softie. It was back when I and my wife were still dating. We were out of town for a concert, a festival, or maybe just a weekend, and there was this big, heavily advised and kind of polished adult store that was just a block or two down the road from our hotel. On the last day of our trip, we didn't have anything planned, so we ended up going into this shop. They had a whole floor devoted to dildos and vibrators, and my wife found one she really liked. I started joking around about how they had all these toys for women and nothing for guys. And one of the shop employees overheard. He brought us up to the third floors and showed us this largest section that was all freaky toys. It was like 4 whole rows, each one 20 feet long, packed to the brim with silicone softies. They had feet with softies, hands with softies, chests with or without softies, headless, limbless torsos, Miles of all varieties, and a whole line of head-to-toe Life Freak dolls. Most of it was really expensive, but I managed to find this one that had a glove attached to a softie and jerk for like $40. So I bought it. We paid for our purchases and went back to the hotel to have fun. My wife really liked her toy, and after a while she asked if I wanted to use mine. I thought about it for just a second and then said no. We had our fun, packed up the next morning and left. I stuck the pocket softie on our coffee table to mess with some friends who were coming over the next day. After the friends left, it ended up in the back of our closet and stayed there through a move and more than a decade, until my 6-year-old found it last November. The blanket that makes you look like a giant burrito. It was super thin and of poor quality, not to mention not big enough to cover me. Now I'll never look like a burrito. There was this guy named Don Labrin who sold money-making kits, like how to make money with classified ads. I think I invested about $350 and received literally nothing of value. I was young and being stupid. I looked him up tonight to remember how to spell his name. Turns out he killed himself with a razor blade while in jail in 2011. I was pretty high one night and bought a pull net handle to turn off the living room lights from the couch. A 50-pack of condoms, a week after I had a vasectomy. Complete brain dead moment. I was 11 and my dad gave me $50 to spend at the mall. So I wandered into a gift shop and spent it all on an electronic vibrating oinking pink pig. I never played with it after I bought it home. I tried to return it only to be offered store credit. I got drunk and started ordering ninja gear off of Amazon and forgot about it until it showed up like a week later. Swords, nunchucks, a suit, and a mask. Most expensive dumb thing? A Mercedes 500 SEL. Literally bankrupt myself buying parts and gas for that freaking land yacht. Sold it for half what I paid and felt lucky to be rid of it. Dumbest dumb thing? A metallic gold lane painting of a Pontiac Firebird. It oozed white trash and I planned on putting it in a family gift exchange as a joke but didn't end up going and got stuck with it. It's currently hanging in a storage room like all classy paintings do. When I was 19, I got a construction job that paid fairly well. Stupid me got all hot and horny for a fun car. I signed up for a 5-year loan after test driving the first one. I ended up having engine failure almost 2 years later. Because it was a used car and from a shady used car dealer, the warranty was well expired. I couldn't afford to get a new engine for it, so I ended up paying over 3 years for a car that I wasn't driving. Big wedding. All that money could have helped so many problems we had later on. We even divorced anyways. ShamWow. I mean, it's got a sham right there in the name. When I wanted to support Vince from ShamWow's crusade against Scientology. This past Christmas Eve, I was doing some late minute shopping and came across a wine glass shaped like Buddy from the movie Elf, which of course also had Will Ferrell's face on it. With everything kind of being out of order with the holiday rush, I didn't know how much it cost, but I bought it on pure impulse because I thought it was funny. It wasn't until I left the store and looked at the receipt that I realized it cost $22, which is way more than it's worth. To remind me of my mistake, I now drink out of that glass exclusively and have been for the past 5 months. I have to wash it like twice a day, but I won't stop using it until I feel like I've gotten my $22 worth. I bought a cat eye stencil off of Amazon that's supposed to help with liquid eyeliner applications because my hands are shaky as freak. Didn't check the reviews. It's a crappy piece of plastic shaped like a cat that breaks really easy. Apparently, I wouldn't know. I bought it a week ago drunk and it's shipping from China with an estimated arrival of July 27th. Got that inflatable dinosaur costume. Wore it once around my campus and now I forgot where it is. My friends and I randomly decided to get into paintballing for 1 year. My first visit to a paintball shop, I apparently felt like flexing my brand new I have a job and no bills because I live with my parents' income, so I dropped about $400 on a paintball gun that looked like an AK-47. We did a few practice fights with each other, then we went to a paintball field that weekend. The bell rang, the fight started, I ran out, aimed at a guy, the gun jammed, and I got shot in the head, just above the part my mask was covering. That gun never fired again, and I ended up replacing it with a cheap Tippmann 98 Custom, which as far as I understand is the vanilla sherbet of paintball guns. It worked, but we stopped paintballing forever after like 2 months. So I guess the second gun was also one of the dumbest things I spent my money on. Gifts for my mother. She complains every single time. My quarantine shopping recently leads me to purchasing a manatee-shaped tea infuser. Boxes. I never saved them and tossed them in recycling. Well, the moving time came around and I was in need of many boxes. So I spent more money than I would like to admit of cardboard and bubble wraps. a tiny alarm clock. Smaller than my hand, it functions pretty well though, so it's a good travel alarm, as long as people don't get suspicious about the ticking noise coming from your bag. Also, a great way to hide the sound of a bomb inside your bag. I absolutely loved her, but the Great Dane I had was so dumb. I'm talking so freakishly, irredeemably dumb that she would regularly smash face first into walls chasing flies and run right into a closed door when I asked if she needed to go out. She was a sweet, loving girl. The Uber Eats delivery fee for an entire dozen cookies from Great American Cookie. I live less than half a mile away, but I was lazy and I wanted those god dang it cookies at like 10 p.m. They were glorious and I don't want to think about the calories I consumed that night. This thing Susan Summers was pitching on QVC at 3 a.m. 15 years ago to help avoid getting wrinkles on your face. I was up all crazy hours with a newborn at the time, so a bit delirious. It was some electric impulse mini machine for approximately $150. Suzanne looked fantastic and said she hasn't ever had plastic surgery and had just used this little machine on her face her whole life. I believed it, spent the money, and when it arrived 3 weeks later, I never took it out of the box to use it. Priority shipping during COVID quarantine. I just wanted to see if it would arrive, but I'm still waiting on that order I placed early March. I spent about $10 on premium currency for a crappy mobile game one time about 8 or 9 years ago. I still feel ashamed of it now. My ex. My ex was working at a Disney college program and she had just graduated. She was making very little money. We were together for about 6 months. During that time, I paid for countless meals, gas, different dates, hotels, Airbnbs, and gifts. There was even times when I would Venmo her money so she could put gas in her car. Now, I can honestly say that I didn't regret a single penny that I spent because I loved her during the time we were together. At the end of the program, she moved back home and broke up citing distance. We talked a few months later and she mentioned how she had gotten us into Disney with her passes a few times. Like it was a favor to me. I don't know, I still feel crappy about it and regret dipping into my savings for what turned out to be someone who took me for granted. I'm a teacher, so she wasn't a gold digger, but possibly a pyrite digger. I once brought my girlfriend a hat and had her name embroidered on it. She asked me if I would ever wear a shirt with my name on it. I would not. This year, I paid $60 for a Shrek action figure wearing NASCAR racing suit at a thrift shop. Paid $59 on a strapless adhesive bra. This is not really a bra, but more like 2 silicone cups with a sticky side. Most of them are worth $10 to $20. Mine was really sticky, but it offers absolutely no support, so I made the bra absolutely pointless. Freak you, La Zenza, expensive bras for cheap quality. I brought a Kirby vacuum. They got me. Hook, line, and sinker. I wasted money before, but this one thing I always go back to and I'm actually ashamed of it. Like, I fell for their wholesale pitch. It was like $2,500 for a damn vacuum. I was on a payment plan for a vacuum. They had a shampoo attachment. It blows like a shampooer. You can take the handle off and use it on the stairs. It's still freaking heavy and annoying. It has a transmission that makes it easier to go across the carpet, but when it decides not to play nice, it takes like 8 times the effort to get a room done. Oh, and the way the attachment works is a whole annoying ordeal. Please, for the love of everything holy and pure, go to Walmart and get a vacuum. You can replace a lot of carpet for one of these Kirby abominations will cost you. A sword cane with the snake heads on it. The blade wasn't sharp and I never used it. I just bought it to essentially look cool. Now I can't find it. I bought it from a legit and legal magazine. I also bought it not only because it looked cool, but because I wanted to look cool like Lucas Malfoy's wand cane. I didn't really care about that sword that was in it. I just spent $250 on the 1989 Batmobile Lego set. Arrived today. Part of me is excited to build it. However, the other side just thinks, what are you doing? You're a 27-year-old man spending money on Legos during a pandemic, but still excited to build tomorrow. I just sunk around $7,000 in beginning a licensed marriage therapist. I just had my job a little over a year ago and was just starting to get pretty solid when suddenly I could no longer touch people or be within 6 feet of them. At least I paid off my student loans in February. One of my closest friends is a radical minimalist and a zero waster. She believes in owning as few things as possible and as best as she is able existing outside of consumer culture. She's crazy but in a lovable way. Anyway, Last summer, we lived together in New England, and she decided to need a new wardrobe and wants to donate her current clothing to purchase 1 or 2 items of clothing she will wear. She wants something really plain and modest, so she's not particularly in fast fashion or supporting consumer culture. I figured she'll go for some thrift simple blouse or skirt or slacks, but no, oh no. She decided to spend upwards of $150 on a custom recreation of Maria's habit from The Sound of Music. None of us thought it was a good idea. It was a black long sleeve dress and it was regularly upwards of 90 degrees last summer. She does not heed our warning, donates all of her other clothes. She's convinced this dress will change her life. This is what she needs to truly devote herself to the zero waste lifestyle. The dress arrives, she puts it on and her face immediately crumbles. It fits, but it looks so stupid. It's obviously a costume and made out of this heavy fabric that is widely impractical to wear. She can't return it because it's custom, and I like to reiterate, she donated all of her other clothes, but she's unwilling to wear it from the shame. She spent the rest of the summer wearing nothing but pajamas and borrowed clothes. Thankfully, she started growing out of the habit, particularly brand of insanity. She now owns like 5 outfits, but I don't think I'll ever see someone waste their money like that ever again. A piano. Dumb, stupid, costly, and near worthless. But my ex-wife wanted a real piano for the kids because they would then practice on it. Bull crap. $3,500 for the piano, $4,000 in lessons, all for teaching them to hate playing the piano. A paddleboard. I suddenly actually make it out to the beach lately, especially currently. And when I bring it, I'm twitching with paranoia if I leave it in my car because someone may steal it. Should have just kept renting. My family visited Colorado when I was 10 and I saw a statue of a mosquito in a gift shop with the words "State Bird" on the bottom and begged my parents for it. We now have a rather large mosquito statue on our piano. My buddy and I decided to saran wrap another friend's car shut. Mind you, this is 1999. Do you have any idea how much saran wrap's $37 buys you in 1997? My buddy's parents are still using the leftovers to this day. I bought $100 Raku's hologram Pokemon card when I was maybe 8 or 10, using my allowance for it. I never played Pokemon. I just collected the cards because they look cool. I still get teased from my family 15 years later. I bought the hats and beards and my buddy got the church warden pipes. We had monthly hats, beards, and pipes gathering in Afghanistan. We were born and we would spend about $300 monthly on this crap. The first month was Gandalf, the second was Lincoln. In elementary, a kid called me pale. So I went to Walmart and bought spray tan. My dad thought it was sunblock. My sister knew what it was but didn't say anything because she was just going to sit back and watch how this plays out. I went in and out of the bathroom multiple times that day, continuously reapplying before my sister decided it was time to tell my dad. I went through half the can in the day and was more orange than an Oompa Loompa. I brought my first stick shift, not knowing how to dry stick shift. Good morning after I bought it. I tried, it started up and could not do so. I called the mechanic and he was going to charge $200. I told him that was fair, I had no idea what's going on. He got in, stepped on the clutch and started the car. He charged me $100. Secondly, I have an old breaker panel in my childhood home. One of the breakers tripped. I thought this fixed the problem and went to the panel to trip the breaker back, but nothing changed. I was also in a weird place in my life and so really wasn't paying attention. But when the electrician showed up, he still charged $100, just pushing the breaker a little bit further than I did.